Hello, everyone. My name is Marcos Bravo, and I want to welcome you to this first sort of pilot episode of our new podcast with Growth Mentor. We want to focus on a different thing. We wanted to pause a little bit of the exact advice and step-by-step guides that we've done in the past, and we want to look into the stories of the people who make Growth Mentor what it is, the actual mentors and mentees. So we picked a really cool story for you to listen. I had the pleasure of interviewing Etan Efrati and Jack Zerby. They met through the platform. They help each other through the platform, and eventually they end up building a 6-figure business that is rocking the world of startups. The story is super cool. These are one of my favorite people in Growth Mentor from now on. Sorry, Foti and Jessica. I still love you. And it was a great, fun conversation that I really want you to listen so you can see what's happening. What are the motivations for people to say, I need help? What are the motivations for people to say, I can help? And eventually, what's behind people getting together and building amazing business. So without further ado, listen to the podcast. All right. Well, great to have you guys here. I mean, I've been looking forward to talking to both of you, especially because the story is, I mean, more than a success story, is something really cool. I mean, I guess it's sort of the soul of what Growth Mentor really wants to do and connect people and all that. So I'm just going to start with Etan. Etan, first of all, great to have you over. And you are a mentor for Growth Mentor, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So my first question here, and it's sort of interesting because I'm a mentor as well. And if you will ask me, why did I join? I had many reasons to like, yeah, this is going to be cool. But I want to know you. I know why did you join Growth Mentor? And when did you feel that you actually have something to give, something to teach, something to basically mentor?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny because it's a platform that's created for selflessness, for giving, but everybody comes with a little bit of a selfish reason. If you didn't have a selfish reason, you wouldn't really do it, right? So my selfish reason was I was coming out of 6 years in venture-backed startups, leading growth teams, managing large budgets, and I knew that what I had learned was more than just the hard skills, more than just a few lines on my LinkedIn profile. I knew that I developed a craft, and I was kind of at a career pivot, as much of the world was at a career pivot during COVID. And I stumbled upon Growth Mentor, and that time I was basically trying to articulate what is this craft, and I was documenting. I actually came up with a growth system, a whole framework, uh, over a 6-year period, but I never hit the pause button to document it. And so I figured Growth Mentor could be a great platform where I could
The
get
great excuse.
calls, and just by talking about it and by teaching it, and it kind of had followed, right? I had done like an online course, which was kind of like a pop-up online course. I wasn't even charging for it. I just created like a bunch of Notion pages. Happy to share it if anyone's interested. I still have it sitting there.
We'll
today.
definitely add the link. We'll add the link somewhere.
And I'm not even promoting it. It was like this type of thing, like you teach a subject just to learn it, like that. That's why I joined Growth Mentor. So anybody who I develop, and it's really like a prioritization framework, just like really I'll on one in one breath, prioritization framework, internet scale growth. It can be kind of daunting because you have infinite opportunities, but you have finite resources. You show up at the office, you show up for work every day, and it's like, what do I do? What do I do with my time? What do I do with my dollars? How do I lead my team? And so I developed a methodology for kind of distilling that down, simplifying it, and Growth Mentor was great. I think a lot of people benefited from it, and yeah, I ended up also picking up a few consulting clients. So Jack was one of my initial consulting clients. Now I'm no longer taking on client work at all. I'm in-house.
Nice.
And yeah,
Living the dream.
yeah, I think so. Thank you. Yeah.
No, I
Look at
mean,
this.
I totally get it because I mean, that's what I thought when I joined. All right, well, probably I'm going to get a couple of customers out of here. But eventually I got used to what you were saying. It's like, it's a great place to organize your own ideas, to put stuff out there for free, and truly not caring exactly about like, well, hopefully I make some money out of that. Sometimes you just put it out there because like, all right, finally I can say it. I can put it out there and people can benefit from it. So I think that's a great feeling. And Jack, on your side, you joined as a mentee, right? You were looking for some help. The usual. You muted there.
There we go. Yeah,
There we
yeah. I was looking for space in the marketing or work looking for advice in the marketing arena. What was the original, Etan? You were going to tell me what the original request was.
I actually, I was in the Slack and I saw that you had posted this service. And I don't know, Jack has this way about him. First of all, Jack, even though he's unique and talented in a very unique way, I put him in this box, this mental in my framework, right? Like he's in a
right.
box. He's like
Box.
product, a product guy who doesn't know distribution. Like that's the box I put him in, and like that's like sweet spot for like growth
Yeah, I would
guys,
say
right?
that was yeah,
And
yeah.
so
So
So,
how many times you guys talk to each other? Like, did you get a couple of meetings together, or you figure out that you could do stuff very
we
early on?
started, we started in Slack. We did a few sessions. So I was going to say I saw one of the products. Jack is a product maven. He's always kind of designing and launching new products. But one of the products that he had, just the way it was so polished and it was so focused that I was just magnetized towards that. I was like, I want to work with this guy. So I actually approached Jack before he approached me.
Yeah, and it kind of like after the few calls, and the other thing too is I've had other calls on Growth Mentor too, and they always were great. Like everybody was really smart, the advice was really good, and Etan was just one of those guys I think I just connected with kind of out of the gate, just with the energy. I think we're both. Now it's kind of early for me, but like give me like another 2 hours, and my energy will be a lot higher. But like him and I have a lot of energy, and I think that was just yeah, it just kind of grew into like maybe there's maybe there's an opportunity for a partnership. Um, and it was funny because the business we ended up starting together was a business that I wanted to shut down at the moment because it was I was getting overwhelmed with the pitch deck business. And
All right.
I remember when I came to you, Aton, I remember I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like there's so much demand for
But that's the thing. Is it a lot of business? Like you were getting too many requests, or
yeah, pretty much. There was a time where I did actually I think it was the one Aton that you set up for me with the first VC. I think that's what it was. You had made an intro to David Stark, and I did an so that was one of Aton's idea. It was like, look, I need to grow this pitch deck service or whatever it is. And he's like, well, you should go do some webinars or Zoom calls with VCs because they're connected to a lot of startups. So I did one, and I think in 1 week I closed 12 pitch decks,
man,
which but the problem was I remember getting all the bookings, and I remember I would like do a call and they'd be like yes, and I'd go out and tell my wife, I'd be like just close another one, and I was only charging like $2,000, and then I would get another one and another one, another one. Pretty soon I'm like, oh geez, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Like this is not gonna work. And I remember like working like super late nights and being super overwhelmed. Um, the cool thing is what Aton had told me to do actually worked really well. And I was like, we need to do more of that. But I realized
I
it
need a
couldn't.
hand.
Yeah.
Beginner's luck.
Yeah.
I don't know. Try this. It might work.
But looking back on it, I think what was really smart about it was that it wasn't like what I liked about Aton's advice. It was unique, and it wasn't like, hey, let's run Facebook ads like right out of the gate. I remember you talked me out of running Facebook ads. And
Love to. That's like my favorite growth mentor thing. talk people out of what they think they need to do.
Stop
It was
doing your ads.
That's what I
Guy's a
thought. I was like,
genius.
and I love the thing is,
He's amazing.
I love marketing. I love copywriting. I love studying old copywriters and that sort of thing. But when it comes to like doing the actual marketing is where I'm like, I need someone to help doing that actual thing. So with this one, it worked really well because it was kind of coming at it as at a right angle, because these VCs, there's an inherent trust that startups have, especially if they're portfolio companies, that they wouldn't have allowed them to invest, or there's a partnership there. And so when a VC gives you that credibility to say, hey, we're hosting Jack to do this, it immediately gives you that trust and credibility with the startups, which made closing these a lot easier. So that's where, for me, it was like, okay, this business has something, but I need a partner.
So at the moment, you took it from a one-man band to a two-man band. It's just the two of you right now, right?
No, we brought in Etan brought in Sam. I don't know.
Here's a story.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so here's the story. It was Jack the freelancer doing done for you decks. He actually didn't have a product. He had the demand for the product, but the product, right, was a productized service to actually. So once the demand side, where once the right, the growth challenge is customer acquisition, and then of course you get into like activation and retention. But the customer acquisition, imagine like walking into a business where like the customer acquisition problem is solved. So that was like I was just
I would love that business. I would love to have that.
And the first thing we did was we just doubled the price because we're like, you're undercharging.
I was way undercharging. Yeah,
Doubled the price. We're like, okay, at least if you're going to be like working around the clock and we don't have the service side, we don't have the product figured out yet, let's at least like charge a lot more money so that will give us a little breathing room to figure out the product. So it was two challenges really. It was number one, how do you scale acquisition? And then number two, how do you nail like the operations to actually build this out as a productized service? Because Jack, and this is the amazing thing about Growth Mentor, you're not really connecting like, you know, material things or businesses. It's not transactional, it's all relational. It's all about connecting people, connecting ideas. So really, like, what did Jack initially ping me for? What was the Growth Mentor request, and then what did that end up eventually turning into a consulting gig, and now we're business partners? It's like, I want to take my skills and I don't want to do the work. You figure out how to monetize my skills. I don't want to be a freelancer anymore. I want to be director level and then eventually passive income. And that's the gig. Like, that's what we're working on.
And he's working. That's the best part. It's not that you guys are testing, or let's say, I mean, obviously you are in a way, but
it's working.
It's working. Yeah. That's the main thing. And I'm already taking notes that like no Facebook ads, double my price. That's the first thing I'm doing after this.
Well, the other thing,
no Facebook ads. It's time the Facebook ads.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to be ready for Facebook ads one day, but we're 2 years in and we're not there yet. I'll tell you that.
The other thing that's interesting too is how you connect. Like, to me, and I apologize if anybody has done this, but like the cringiest thing I can think of is like founder dating. I don't know if you've ever seen that, where it's like, it's so weird. Like, I will never want to meet a partner in business like at some networking event like that. It's like so forced like that. And I think the thing that Growth Mentor works well at is that it allows to kind of operate on like a specific task in the beginning. Like, hey, let's work together. There might be some money exchange. There might not be some money exchange. But either way, there's like a very specific reason why. And that person is willing to, they put, Etan has put his name out there to help. I'm requesting help. So it's around a very specific ask with a very specific outcome in a lot of ways. So it allows you to work with that person without being like expectations of them coming on as a partner. In fact, that's not the expectation. And every business partner I've ever had, it's evolved in there, and you have to feel each other out on like trusting this person, understanding their values, understanding who they are, how they approach business and customers and money and things like that. Because when money starts getting involved, I had two startups for 10 years with two other partners that were like brothers to me. And theirs were millions of dollars involved. And at any time we could have, screwed each other over for millions of dollars or whatever, or taken a side deal. And we didn't. And so that trust will never be taken away. And I think between Etan and I and Sam, our other partner, like we just have a high level of trust for each other, especially now that, we're doing not millions of dollars, but doing a significant amount of revenue, that those things come into play. So you got to ease into that. It's just like a marriage in a lot of ways. That
Man, I think I remember getting Foti a bit mad at me because when he pitched me Growth Mentors, it's like Tinder for startups. That's what we're doing here. I'm like, no, there's so much more than that, and it is, and the way you're putting it now, right? I mean, you get to develop this sort of relationship through a couple of calls, or then to a workshop or whatever you do afterwards, and I think it becomes so much more deep. Like if you may, like the relationship changes because you start working on things together. You understand each other's idea. I mean, I had calls with people like, well, I'm making about $10 million a month and I would like to make more money than that. And I'm like, I won't even dream of making that much money, man. I'm like, I just want to pay the bills, but sure, I'll give you advice. But at the same time, they trust your approach. I mean, you get to choose people because of their approach, because of the way they talk, the way they are, they or the stuff that they've done before, and eventually you have matches like this one. So what's the name of the, because I had it written somewhere. Is Deck Force? No,
Design for Decks.
Designfordecks.com.
Designfordecks.com.
Man,
and it is now the #1 boutique pitch deck service on the internet. We've done over $2 billion raised using Design for Decks designs. So we're cheating a little bit because that includes one very large M&A transaction. There was actually, let's cut that out maybe.
we'll bleep it. Don't worry.
Client names, but we've had large investment banks approach us to do M&A transactions. We've had a Series B robotics company raising $50 million. We've done one of the 10 most successful IPOs of the last decade. They formed, the newly minted millionaires from that IPO formed an angel investment group, and they're a repeat customer. So when they go out to raise their fund to deploy capital for their angel group, we do their deck designs. And then like our bread and butter is seed stage startups that are going to raise their Series A, because that's when things start to get real, right? Like that's when you go from like just an idea to now you have traction in the market, and you're going and you're asking a bunch of investors for $5, $10, $20 million. So your pitch deck needs this. The founders who come to us, like they actually don't need to be sold. They understand, like
They need it straight away. We need this.
Be polished. They need it to be pixel perfect. And that's what Jack and he has now designers working for him. We don't call it remote, we call it distributed. So we have distributed teams all over the world. Operations, we were briefly mentioning a third partner that we brought on who's managing our operations, and we're building out partnerships with different communities. So yeah, it's rocking and rolling. We're going into our first full second year this year.
The other thing I would say too about teams and partnerships, the ones that have been the most successful, and that's why it was easier to find those people on Growth Mentor, because they are saying like what their expertise in category is. Mine obviously was product and design. Etan's was in marketing distribution. And so the teams and the partners that have worked best for me are the ones who have like very defined, like separated skills. Like doesn't mean that there can't be some overlap, but with having someone on the team like Etan who understands distribution and marketing, and then having another partner, Sam, who understands a lot about processes and operations and client relations, and then me with the design expertise, like that marriage of those three, I think is the key. because if you have, I would never, there are times like I have friends that are really great designers and really great founders. My friend Bobby, who has started like big companies. I would never start a company with Bobby because we're both designers. So we would both be constantly like, I don't like that. I don't like that. You like that? I don't like, we would just be, it would not, I don't think it would work.
Yeah, you get in each
So
other's way.
yeah. So I think being able to find people in a way, like on the Growth Mentor app of being able to find these complementary skills out of the gate, um, makes a lot of sense. So I think that was the big advantage, I think, is being able to find complementary skills.
I like that too. I mean, the fact that you go there and say, all right, well, this is the guy for that, that's the guy for that, and then you get to talk to the right people. You're not going to go and try to say, well, maybe this guy is going to be able to help me. For example, one of the things I was offering, it was venting. Like, all right, let's have a call for venting. Just call me and tell me all the crap that is happening right now in your company, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
stuff that happened to me, and you'll feel better after the call. And calls like that you might think, well, it's not going to help me much. Man, it helped. It helped me too. It's like, well. I mean, now I know I'm not alone, and I'm not. I know also that I'm helping out a little bit.
It's a
But
form of therapy,
it
right?
is, right.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so needed. It's so needed in today's world. Like we need the human connection to thrive and to become our best selves. Like we should destigmatize that like altogether, you know?
Well,
And yeah, go.
and there's a thing about asking for help too. Like that's not my inclination. My inclination always is just to figure it out myself and just do it. Like what I was trying to do with the pitch deck business. I was like, no, I can do it all myself. I'll figure it out. It obviously that was just pride, right, and ego. But as I'm getting older, I realize that like I don't. I want to ask for help, and I want to have partners that are much better at me in certain areas because it just doesn't work otherwise. And you see that evolution with CEOs and certainly people that have mentored me over the years. I watched my first boss, Lisa at Pentagram, one of the top graphic design firms in the world. She comes in, she's MIT, Brown, Harvard, like all this pedigree. And she had always been a designer. Like she was on the original team that designed the little Clippy thing in Microsoft.
Awesome.
Or the AI or something. Maybe it was some sort of involvement she had with Clippy. But like all these like big projects. And watching her go from leader to now or watching her go from designer to then letting go and leading like small teams was really interesting to watch. So I think that's the spirit of Growth Mentor is like, look, we can't all do it. Like Lisa couldn't do all this work by herself. She had to have a small team like we had at Pentagram. And just like with anybody that comes on, inherently me asking for help is saying like, I don't know how to do this and I need help.
Like Etan said, like it's really. And I think I made a post not so long ago about it. It's one of those cheesy motivational posts. Like the hardest thing to say in business is "I need help."
Yeah.
And I mean, you don't have to really say it much. You just go and get help. Like if you need help, nobody's asking you to like help me. Just man, just
Yeah.
go ahead.
Marcos, not Marcos, none of your posts are cheesy, man. Your posts are spot on.
I actually developed this technique, and every time I read something that is super obvious, I just go and post totally the opposite. So it's like, I know remote work is great. No, it's not. But maybe I don't know. It's just sometimes you just get to hook them somehow.
I'm with you. I'm with you, man.
So what's next? What are you guys planning next? First of all, are you coming back to Growth Mentor? Like somehow, or sometimes do you talk to other people still, or you haven't
For
for a
me,
while?
myself. Yeah, so I go through seasons where now usually I go through a season where it's like I have a problem and I have no one in my immediate network or partners to help me solve that. Now what's great is it's funny how isn't the one is it Hinge, the dating app where it's designed to be deleted? Did you ever see that marketing? That's what they call it. Their headline is like it's designed to be deleted, essentially meaning we'll match you and then you can delete the app, right? So there's this idea of like, I'll come in through a season of like, I don't know what I'm doing on a new business. And that's where a growth mentor can come in as kind of an on demand sort of thing. But I would say Growth Mentor did its job, and I don't need more help on the business that I went in there for. It solved the problem, and I think that's a true testament to what it is. And eventually, I'll start another business if my wife lets me, because every time I say I'm starting another one, she's like, I can't do another one. That will repeat again, right? So I think it's like we all got to go through these cycles, which I think it's just the season of life.
I like that. It's like they're there for you.
Yeah. And the thing about Growth Mentor Market is they'll never stop being those people that come in, they need help, they get their problem solved, boom, they go off, they do the thing that they came in to do, and then another person comes in. The amount of new businesses that are being started, it's never ending.
I'm the same. Yeah, it's like, definitely seasonal. And I think a lot of businesses, maybe all businesses, have the founder's DNA in them. So the fact that Foti was an outsider, right? Like he did not like come from Silicon Valley, from like the tech world. Like he created Growth Mentor for himself. And I think the world is kind of waking up to this fact that like the institutions, that we all, not we all, but like some of us have like these logos that, oh, because I went to this school or worked at this company, I feel a sense of accomplishment. But maybe that will give you some kind of initial credibility so you can get in the door. But at the end of the day, like if you don't have the chops and like you don't have the talent and you're not nurturing that talent in an authentic way, then you're not going to be able to provide value in what I would call, the internet scale, era. Like this decade, AI coming, like you got to learn how to use it. Like,
Exactly.
and
You can't run away
folks
from
who
it.
knew that the ZNA is like baked into the Growth Mentor platform. So I think I'm going to be a lifetime
Lifetime
user,
memory. Absolutely, man.
lifetime member. It's just such a cool, unpretentious little
Yeah.
corner of the internet, and there's magic. It's magic.
I like that. I'm gonna sort of close the conversation with that thought that I mean that's the reason why I'm staying too. It's like I just love to chat to people and figure out these little things. Sometimes they're like the Facebook ad thing, right? I mean, everybody will jump straight away into it. I mean, no, you're not ready. Don't do it. Well, you solve and save thousands of dollars to a small company that really thought they had everything figured, and all those little things that they're happening in there. It just also, yeah, it's a great way to put it. It's just magical.
Yeah.
Talking about cheesiness, man. I told you.
You want to? I mean, if you want to double click on that, the Facebook ads, like, so one of the projects that we took on from the earliest days of Design for Decks was trying to figure out a low touch product. So we're crushing the services side. There's like, not to like brag, but like there's a waiting list, right? Most of the time, and it's really expensive to work with us. That doesn't really help us kind of fulfill our mission of taking Jack's design systems and pitch deck structures and all of what he has to give and bring that to the world, bring it to a large amount of founders, not just the ones who are raising tens of millions of dollars, right? And so from the earliest days, we've been trying to develop um, much lower cost, higher volume product, and we're just like chipping away at that problem. So we have this masterclass, which is like a 2-hour course. We're now launching a review service. So like if you're going out with a pitch deck, you want to start meeting with investors, first you send it to us, and we'll do like a tear down, kind of, you're pitching us first, and we're just like tearing it apart, giving you asynchronous feedback and a lot of constructive criticism so that you could build up your pitch deck better before you go out to market with it. Another service that we're working on, which is currently in beta, is like a boot camp. So 4 live sessions together with asynchronous feedback, and it's kind of this in between product. We're getting a lot of early positive feedback on that, and that's just like build an investor ready pitch deck in under 2 weeks. The challenge we have with all of these sorry, just to kind of bookend that with the Facebook ads, once we have one of these validated, then you can turn on the tap, right? Then you could turn on the tap. The challenge with these low touch products is like people need to do the work. You know, the low touch is like it's not a done for you, right? It's a done by you.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we're the tools, we'll sell you the hammer, but you gotta hammer the nail yourself. And that's the kind
But
of thing
that's
that
good. I mean,
we're
when you
doing that.
do that, right? When you do that, you basically letting people build their own startup. I wouldn't feel great if like, all right, no, I just pay for my pitch. Yeah, we raised 10 million, but I just paid for it. It was like this. There was nothing from you in there. You needed that like little piece of you in there. And
Yeah,
when you get
yeah.
stuff like you guys giving just going through feedback, like, all right, well, we can help you build it, but you need to work on these things first before we even build something. It's growth, right? It's real development. People are really working on their company instead of just paying like, well, here's I don't know, $20,000 for pitch deck and good luck.
Can I throw in something else about growth? I know you want to close it
No, go for it, go
conversation.
for it.
People don't realize the dip. They always want like the up and to the right, but like the dip, the down, the failing, the missing the shot, that's part of it. And I just looked up some stats to the greatest NBA players of all time. Karl Malone, Will Chamberlain, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, like you name it, look up. You could Google this and find it. None of them have field goal percentage north of like 55%. Think about it. The greatest basketball players of all time miss half of their shots. So I would say take the shot. You know, like look
Exactly.
at like analysis paralysis. Take the shot. You're gonna miss half of them if you're the greatest. You know.
But I mean, that's how you become the greatest, anyways. Like you need to go for it.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
You need to show up every day and keep going and keep going. I'm going through that with jujitsu now. I started in October and I just get smashed every day by blue belts and black belts and, you know, giant 250-pound Russian guys. But I asked my coach the other day, I'm like, what's the right mentality? He's like, just keep showing up. He's like, you're going to get smashed. It's just the way that it is. But he goes, how long did it take you to do what you do now? Like to do at a black belt level, what you do with design and things like that. And I said, it took 25 years essentially of me doing this day in and day out since I was 16 years old on the computer designing in Photoshop 1, version 1, Flash version 1.
OG.
Hey,
Yeah. And just doing it day in and day out. I mean, literally like 8 to 10 hours a day. I mean, ask any one of my friends. It was like they're watching a movie and I would be on the computer watching the movie, but I'd be designing things. So that's what it takes. And yeah, there's going to be times where you're going to be a terrible designer. You're going to be a terrible marketer. You're going to be terrible at all these things. But like, what did you expect? Like, that's how you do it. And then you bring in coaches, right? Through Growth Mentor. I hire him, this black belt, 6th-degree black belt from Brazil. I pay him, $100 a session every week. So I'm investing a lot of money in there, but you want the best, right? Like if you're going to learn something, then take that shortcut and learn from the best that's out there. So if you're struggling with that and you're showing up every day, but you're not seeing the results, that's where you get a coach, aka on Growth Mentor, other places. That's
yeah,
the short.
it's definitely harder. It's harder to quit when you have someone right next to you. It's like, no, you're not quitting, man.
Oh yeah, he texts me like, "Hey, are you doing Monday or Wednesday for the lesson? What am I going to say? What am I going to say?"
He's not giving you, are you coming or not? No, it's like, when are you coming?
For me to quit now would be very hard, right? I would have to like personally write him a message and then explain to him why I'm quitting, which is probably a dumb reason,
They
right?
probably come and get you.
Right? So like that's the thing. If you have these mentors, whether you pay them or not. In fact, sometimes it's better to pay them because it's just easy. Then there's like the expectation is super clear on both ends. And that's why I think it's great on Growth Mentor. They have paid ones and free ones. So like if you kind of pick which one that you want, and the more you're investing in that relationship, the harder it is to quit. And if you have somebody in there that knows if you're BSing the excuse, like, oh, I can't do this startup anymore because I have a full-time job and I have kids. I'm like, okay, like I'm across like 4 or 5 startups right now. I have 3 kids, school now. There's dance and snowboarding and all these things and jiu-jitsu and all these things, but that's what you do. So it's not a valid excuse. So I think it's have someone in your uh you know I would say like in the cage with you or in the ring with you. Mike Tyson had the same thing when he was young. He had his coach that essentially molded him into who he was. So everyone has a coach.
So having a coach, not
Yep.
taking all the shots.
Yep.
Keep an eye on Facebook ads. That's the one that I'm not letting go. No, anyways.
Facebook wants you to run ads now. Now that their ad numbers are down, I wasn't getting approved for a page one time, a brand thing. You know how they'll say like, "Oh, you're not approved." I said, "I'm about to spend X amount of money," and they're like, "Oh, and they
sorry. I mean, approved. Yeah, no, you are approved. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, they want that money. So yeah, they'll be happy.
Guys, it's been amazing chatting with you. I know it's not going to be our last chat, but for sure we're probably going to talk either here or on Growth Mentor or whenever you need a video guy as well for your team.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's been great, guys. And well, if you have to say one more thing, especially about your business, because I want people to go and check it out, especially like tons of founders and people like that are in Growth Mentor all the time. What would you say to them quickly, beside all of the sport reference that we went through, that they were pretty cool too?
Look, if you're doing a pitch deck, you're working on your pitch deck right now, check out designfordecks.com. Even if the boutique service isn't for you, reach out to us. Like we love talking to founders and we love helping founders. So we'll find a way, to provide value. So yeah, just hit us up, designfordecks.com.
Sweet. Etan, Jack, awesome having you here, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Marcos.
Take care, Marcos.
See everybody.
So thank you everybody for listening. I'm really looking forward for the next episodes. We're going to have amazing stories from our people, from the people who benefits from using the platform, stories of business being created, and much, much more. So don't forget to subscribe, follow the podcast, go and find us on our YouTube channel, and basically everywhere that we are, all of our social media channels as well. So in behalf of Growth Mentor, thank you one more time for joining us today. My name is Marcos, and I will see you next time. Cheers.